This is seriously one of the weirdest stories in Christian church history. Do you know the story of the crucified bearded lady, Saint Wilgefortis? According to 12th and 13th century legend, Wilgefortis was a teenage noblewoman, a Christian from Portugal and Galicia, promised in marriage by her father to a Moorish king. To avoid the unwanted union, she took a vow of virginity and prayed unceasingly to be made hideous. And her prayers were answered when she spontaneously grew a beard, ending the engagement. But enraged at the monetary loss, her father had her crucified. But because of the miracle in the sacrifice, she soon came to be venerated as an intercessor for women who wished to be liberated from abusive husbands. And men venerated her as well, with Wilgefortis finding a place in the Devotio Moderna movement, even though she was never officially canonized by the church. Now, St. Wilgefortis' name comes from Virgo Fortis, Latin for courageous virgin. In England, she was known as Uncumber, and she was also venerated in Germany, Poland, France, pretty much all over Northern Europe. And in iconography, Wilgefortis was depicted similarly to Jesus on the cross, but wearing a long dress or long flowing robes. And sometimes she was confused with Saint Liberata, who was also supposedly crucified about the same time, but without the beard. And her story proved to be very popular, particularly in the 14th through 16th centuries, with a feast even being attributed to her on July 20th. There's even a carving of Wilgefortis with a very long beard in the Henry VII Chapel at Westminster Abbey. She also appears lightly bearded on a triptych door by Hans Memling. But despite her popularity, her cult was quietly shut down during the late 16th century. But her veneration kept going for a while in Bavaria, Austria, France, and Belgium. And in the 12th century church of Saint Etienne in Beauvais, a 16th century wooden statue of Wilgefortis shows her on the cross in a full blue tunic with a big beard. But in 1969, the Catholic Church put the official kibosh on her legend, eliminating her feast day. Because Wilgefortis, the crucified bearded lady, she never really existed. So where did the legend come from? Well, no one knows exactly, but art historians theorize that during the 11th and 12th centuries in the East, Jesus began to sometimes be depicted in flowing robes or tunics instead of the typical loincloth. And also at the time, it became a bit more common to stylistically depict Jesus a bit effeminately. And it's believed as these images made their way northwest across Europe, some leaders were uncomfortable with the David Bowie androgynous look and flowy robes that were being offered by traveling pilgrim artists and dealers in iconography. And since few wanted to think Jesus wore a dress, the myth of St. Wilgefortis developed to explain away the whole thing. And as that story grew, depictions of a bearded woman with a bosom and smaller waist and a dress on a cross evolved. So if you come across a legend of a crucified bearded lady, remember this. Church history is full of unexpected twists and turns. The story of St. Wilgefortis might seem bizarre, but it's a fascinating example of how art, legend, and cultural misunderstandings can blend into one of the most peculiar tales of Christian history. It's a reminder that history isn't just about facts. It's also about the stories we create to make sense of what we see. And sometimes those stories are as wild and strange as a bearded lady on a cross. God bless. See you soon.